All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're talking about something that gives every event planner a stress headache, the supplier blame game. You know, that moment when everything grinds to a halt and all you hear is finger pointing. This sound familiar? Yeah, I thought so. You're standing there, right in the middle of it all, playing referee when you should be directing a smooth, seamless setup. This kind of back and forth isn't just annoying, it's a huge, flashing red sign that your coordination system has completely broken down. But here's the crucial thing to understand. It's almost never about one supplier being difficult. The real problem goes so much deeper. It's about these tiny, invisible cracks in your planning process that, under pressure, just shatter wide open. So, how do these cracks even form? Well, to get to the bottom of it, we have to look at two things. First, the system failures that create all this confusion. And second, the totally human way people react when things get tense. It's really a perfect storm of bad process and basic psychology. So it all starts right here, with information that's scattered all over the place. You know, maybe the floor plan was updated, but only 2 of the 5 teams got the email, or a major decision was made over a quick phone call but never actually written down. Every single one of these is like a little landmine, just sitting there, waiting for the event to start. And when someone inevitably steps on one of those landmines, human nature kicks in. Look, people aren't trying to sabotage your event. They're trying to protect their team's reputation, they're trying to avoid getting hit with extra costs, and honestly, they're trying to save themselves from being blamed for a problem they don't think they caused. It's just a natural, defensive reaction to chaos. And really, it all boils down to this one simple, powerful difference. When you don't have a central, documented plan, every disagreement is fueled by memory and emotion. But the second you have one, the conversation totally shifts. It becomes about facts. It becomes about verification. And that one little change makes a difference between an event that feels professional and one that feels like total chaos. Now, you might be thinking, meh, a little argument during setup, what's the big deal? But the fallout from these disputes is way more damaging than you'd think. The real costs are often silent, but they are absolutely significant. Think about it. Every minute you spend arguing is a minute you're not setting up. The team's morale just tanks. Suddenly, your leadership is being questioned. And those great relationships you have with suppliers, they start to get strained. But the biggest cost of all, your client can see the tension and their confidence in you just starts to melt away. And that's the thing. Your client might not know the difference between 2 types of lighting fixtures or why a certain cable is needed. But what they are experts in is reading a room. They can feel the friction, they can sense the stress. And that feeling, that lack of cohesion, translates directly into a lack of trust in you. And these informal systems are really the source of all evil here. We all use them, right? Because they feel quick and easy. But what they really do is scatter critical information across a dozen different places. So when a problem pops up, there's no single source of truth. And that forces everyone into that impossible, unwinnable argument of who said what. Okay, so that's the problem, and it's a big one. But let's talk about the solution. Because the good news is, there's a really powerful way to change this entire dynamic, to go from conflict to clarity. And it all centers on one core idea. This right here is the Holy Grail, a single reference point. The goal is to create one and only one undisputed source of truth for the entire event. It's a central hub where every layout, every timeline, every little detail is documented and available to everybody. It's like the event's constitution. If it's not in the system, it's not official, period. And this is where the magic happens. You completely change the question. You're no longer putting people on the spot. You're not accusing anyone. You're just asking everyone to look at the plan, the one you all agreed on. It completely depersonalizes the conflict and turns a heated argument into a simple fact check. So, what does this actually look like in practice? Well, it's these 5 steps. You start with that centralized hub. From there, every single task gets an owner. Now, this is crucial. Layouts and timelines have version control, so nobody can ever use an old copy by mistake. All the changes are logged, and you can even track that your suppliers have actually seen and confirmed critical updates. No more, I didn't get the memo. You know, when you put a system like this in place, something fundamental changes about your role. You stop being a firefighter, running around putting out blazes. You become a system architect. You're not managing chaos anymore. You're designing a structure that prevents chaos from ever starting. This really gets to the heart of it. Your job isn't to wrangle a bunch of different personalities. It's to build a system so clear, so unambiguous, that it naturally guides everyone toward working together.
You're creating an environment where being professional is just the easiest path to take. And just look at what happens when you do that. When the ambiguity is gone, the blame just evaporates. People start collaborating because the path forward is clear. The whole setup becomes way more efficient. Stress levels go down for everyone, especially you. And confidence, both from your suppliers and your client, just skyrockets.
So if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. You can't just talk your way into a perfectly executed event. Real clarity doesn't come from endless phone calls and verbal reminders. It comes from a solid, well-designed structure that everyone can see and rely on. So as you get ready for your next event, I want to leave you with this one question to really think about. Are you setting yourself up to manage conflicts and personalities, or are you designing a system that makes collaboration the only logical choice? Because ultimately, that's where the real power is.